Where does the poison come from, and is it really not safe to step outside? And why do people spend so much time eating in the before times? It's time to talk about, analyze, review, break down, theorize, and rant about Silo's third season episode, Grey Goo.
Spoiler alert! Hit it!
Okay, let's do this. We start a little back in time to find out how exactly did Kennedy make it.
He played dead, well, that's what he did. He laid on the ground as still as he could until those drones flew away. This AI sure does make a lot of mistakes.
Well, all the more reason to think it may not be AI. Oh, what about Lucas? Did he make it too?
He did, mostly. He was shot right through the radio. But that means his suit has been damaged.
Well, yeah, he's actually bleeding through where the hole is.
Exactly. His suit now has a hole in it. That means whatever poison is outside the silo is only there temporarily.
Huh. Well observed, McCluck.
Yeah, that's something to think about for later as they rush to get to 17 while the coast is clear.
They get to the airlock, but it's closed, and thankfully, they make enough commotion to be heard by two of the kids who let them in.
They too didn't know about the lack of poison, but it's only when Lucas tells them that he's been shot, and had there been poison, he'd already be dead, that they open the airlock.
And finally, we get to see the survivors of 17 once more.
I barely recognized Jimmy without his beard.
Using books as references, they help Lucas and remove the bullet, and while he's recovering, Jimmy repairs the damaged radio.
What would we do without books, eh?
The moment the radio's fixed, Kennedy tries to contact 18, and we know what happened then.
Yeah, it was tense times with the bomb.
I mean, talk about fixing the radio in the nick of time, eh?
Talking in code, Juliet learns Lucas is okay, and Jimmy is given the mission of figuring out where the pipe is in Judicial.
Finally, we're getting somewhere. Like somewhere back in the past? Yeah, well, all this happened before the end of the last episode. Oh, you mean Daniel and Helen? Yeah, they're finally face to face with a humongous silo drill.
But we don't spend any time pondering on the physics of silo engineering, as all those people head to a house and have lunch. Helen and Daniel want to know what's going on, but annoyingly their hosts just talk in code.
Like referring to those silos they're building as some kind of seed repositories.
Daniel does tell them that if they want to build 50 silos, it would end up being cheaper to build 50 drills, not just 10. Better to leave the machines at the bottom of the holes they're digging.
Which makes sense based on what we know of the silos.
It's like all the pieces fitting together, eh? Anyway, after a bit of prizing, the hosts do tell them it's not just seeds and artworks and knowledge that they'll put in there, but people too, so they can repopulate the earth.
The end of the world is coming, and it cannot be stopped apparently. Only survived.
Oh, that sounds ominous. Yes, but it's not surprising for us. We know where we are 350 years later.
We know where we are, we just don't know how we got there.
Which is supposed to be the purpose of this season's entire before time segment.
Well, I'm pretty sure the goo Charlotte flew through over Iran had something to do with it. Well, I hope we find out soon, because we're running out of season.
Well, as you should know by now, we won't get the answers just yet, as it's time to head back to Silo 18.
A bit frustrating, but okay. The AI tells Camille the bodies of Lucas and Kennedy are no longer where they fell. What a way to tell her it failed in its mission.
I must say, it's pretty sloppy work. Oh, doesn't anyone think that the voice kinda sounds like Daniel?
Yeah, I got that too. Clearer than before, in fact, but how could that even be?
Well, our AIs can already copy the voice of existing people.
And how would that fit our theory that the voice isn't AI at all, but there's someone at the other end of the line?
A voice modulator can make anyone sound the same. We need to stick a pin in that for now, as whether it's AI or a person, the voice needs Camille to figure out exactly why Kennedy and Lucas went to 17.
And I've got a feeling things are going to speed up now. We see Knox having found his dad.
That encounter went as well as could be expected, with Knox punching him in the face and leaving.
So much for him wanting to know what his dad built for Harwood and if it has anything to do with the thefts from Supply.
Then we check in on Silo 17 as Kennedy and the kids look around Judicial and find a door that may have been welded from the inside.
Quickly followed by Camille, who had actually imprisoned her husband in a cell in 18.
Damn, that woman doesn't mess about.
Did he voluntarily let himself be taken prisoner? I mean, she's tiny next to him.
She did have a gun.
Yeah, that does level the playing field.
She tries to get info out of him, but he's the Silo's master manipulator and keeper of secrets. Did she really think he'd talk? Nah, he sticks to the rescue mission version.
Yeah, it was rather naive of her, truth be told.
And back in 17, Kennedy's using an angle grinder to open that sealed door.
Is that wise? It was closed for a reason. What if whatever's dangerous on the other side is still there? What if the pipe is actually that door?
Think we're about to find out, Gigi, as Kennedy makes an opening and sees a body inside. Jimmy's mom sacrificed herself to save her silo.
Realizing that is quite an upsetting time for Jimmy, as you can imagine.
And in 18, Knox went back to his dad, only this time he brought reinforcements, Hank and Paul. Their main concern is figuring out who killed Orla and who's been stealing from supply.
So come on, Knox's dad. What did you build for Harwood? It hasn't got anything to do with any of that.
While all that's going on, Jules and Bernard discuss pipe layouts. They try and figure out how one silo could control all 49 others with whatever poison they have. And if these silos really are to save humanity, why would they have created a system to destroy a silo?
Excellent questions.
Bernard's plan is, once they find it and cap it, they'll be able to have a proper conversation with Silo 1. And if there's a really good reason for wanting to kill everyone, they'll uncap it and happily drink the water.
Oh, to think all his life he obeyed the voice, even when it told him to kill Mayor Mary Meadows, whom he loved.
Humans have to do as the voice tells them.
We're not even sure it's an AI anymore, Alicia.
The best mysteries stay mysterious for as long as possible.
Don't worry, Alicia. It's time to reveal some other mysteries, as we're back at the dinner table in the before times, and Stenson reveals why he's doing what he's doing. To save his country from a hostile nanotech weapon.
We learned Iran had built such a weapon and set it off before all this started.
The dirty bomb over DC Daniel and Helen were talking about all the way back at the end of season 2.
Yeah, and Helen figures out that Charlotte's squadron was only a decoy to trigger Iran's release of their tech, so they could use a tunnel they'd built in secret to set off a nuclear bomb in Iran's nanotech facility.
You can imagine that learning how you and your team were expendable went down for Charlotte.
You know, I'm still wondering why she's still alive. I mean, why keep a survivor from that obviously doomed mission?
And why make someone who was clever enough to realize Charlotte went on a suicide mission apologize to Charlotte for what people in that very same room actually did to her? Well, I'm more curious about the pipe in 17 and what did Harwood get Knox's dad to build?
The storytellers are keeping all of that pretty close to their chests. How shameful of them to keep teasing us like that. Only kidding.
Well, we do discover that Jimmy's mom had managed to seal that pipe and then decided to seal herself in. Maybe because the poison or the nanotech kept getting through?
So this gives 18 a plan on how to proceed with finding their own pipe and trying to do a better job than 17 did with it. And off they go to execute their plan.
Well, let's hope it won't be as abortive as last episode's bomb plan. Except, as soon as Sandy left to lay the groundwork for the work that's to come, Juliet realizes that although the silos are identical, they face different ways, so the pipe might reach their silo in a different location to 17's.
Clever thinking. That makes sense.
They're about to dig in the wrong place.
And while that's happening, Hank, Paul, Knox, and Carla find a secret door in supply. A door built by Harwood and his people.
Where does it lead to?
You should know by now that this story's mysteries won't reveal themselves just like that. We're back at the same table, only this time, it's dinner.
Stenson and his people sure do eat a lot if lunch eventually turns into dinner.
Trillionaires live to eat. He tells Helen and Daniel his plan is not building something for an imminent danger, it's a just-in-case scenario.
So it may not be nanotechnology that killed the world. I'm pretty sure it likely is.
His plan is to build those self-sustaining silos and have 100 people living them for a while to test them out when they're ready.
You know, that's kind of better than what I thought, because when he bought those farmers' lands to build his little silo project, I thought how gruesome it is to give people what he called generational wealth, knowing they'd be dead soon. But if the danger's not imminent as far as he's concerned, it's kinda a little better.
Makes him a little more relatable.
Meanwhile, we finally figure out what Harwood had built. A lift.
Well, lifts are illegal. It says so in the pact.
Oh, that's the least of the silo's problems, as Sandy gets arrested in judicial.
They were waiting for her.
Looks like Camille's bringing out the big guns to figure out just what the hell Juliet is up to. Sandy sent Jules a coded message, which makes her realize she and Shirley are walking into a trap, so she decides to get to judicial anyway, but convinces Shirley not to, and to carry on with the mission, you know, in case she doesn't come back.
Well, this is getting grim.
And it seems Paul and Hank finally arrest the person who killed Orla. her boyfriend.
I knew there was something off about the guy. You just don't date two shadow of the head of supply without having some kind of an agenda.
But how is it linked to Harwood, Knox's dad, and the elevator?
We don't know yet, Gigi.
And back at the dinner table, Helen turns down the offer of working for Stenson, but Charlotte agrees. Why do they need a fighter pilot for their underground project?
Well, she's told they need a drone operator.
Oh my wild apricot. Were they already planning to shoot silo dwellers down?
No idea, Gigi, but what we learn instead is that Daniel doesn't want a space in the silo either and gets in a helicopter with Helen because they love each other. Suddenly.
Okay, I mean, this didn't come out of left field because there were hints, but the shift from being awkwardly possibly attracted to each other and then kissing as the helicopter takes them away was rather sudden, don't you think?
Maybe seeing bunkers being built for the end of the world makes you see things in a different light.
You want to know what I think? I think Victor's gonna make them forget, and they'll end up in the silo with no memory of who they are.
A bit grim, don't you think?
Yeah, well, just look at how he watches them fly away. That's the look of a man who has a secret agenda.
You may be onto something. How else would that duck pest dispenser get into Silo 18? Speaking of 18, Jules is arrested and put in the same cell as Sims, while the other rebels try and figure out what else they can do.
And Shirley sure did fly down those stairs to get from Judicial all the way down over 100 levels to Walker's place, didn't she?
In her condition?
Well, it's pretty much a given now that distance is meaningless in Silo 18.
What about Sandy? What happened to her?
She's in seclusion.
They're all in a bit of a bind, aren't they?
We have to build up the tension for the finale, don't we?
So, the Orlicant murder ended up being just a bit of a damp squib.
I'm guessing the boyfriend is a patsy and it's all a cover-up hiding a much bigger problem.
Well, yeah, Harwood built a lift to go much quicker between levels, but that doesn't explain the missing 48 years worth of light bulbs. I mean, what's a mysterious lift got to do with anything that's going on anyway?
Yeah, I thought they'd build a tunnel to another silo or something.
Someone might still have done that, but just not Harwood and his people. Okay, the lift may well be a red herring, although I'm sure it'll be used to save the day at some point.
Well, there's still so much left to figure out and only 2 episodes to the finale. How are they going to cram it all in? Well, I'd like to know what secret mission Charlotte had. Remember when they were all by the airplane and we were told that she accepted the mission, but once again couldn't tell her brother about it? What was that about? Even after he signed his NDA, she didn't tell him anything. Yet now, they offer her a different job to fly drones and she accepts? What's going on with Charlotte and what's the point of her character?
Unless you know something more, Andy's doing a hell of a job playing the amnesiac for some reason. I don't see why she's in the story either.
I suspect Stenson is more devious than he appears and might actually trigger the apocalypse himself. Someone with more money than God can't be sane. Well, we now know that the air is safe, at least around 17, so I'm guessing whatever poison kills people who go to clean is released as they go out and then dissipates. This all feels more like some weird experiment than survival bunkers.
Would it be though? I mean, that would feel far too much like Fallout. And why does the AI voice appear to sound like Daniel? I can sound like whoever I want to, Gigi. Oh, stop that. That's kind of freaky.
There's also something about the pipe that's bugging me. Apparently, Jimmy's mom realized that she didn't have enough welding material to seal the pipe, so she sealed herself in instead, but it takes a heck of a lot more welding material to close a door than to carry on sealing a pipe.
Unless the poison is nanotech, which was already in the room, so her only option was to seal it in with herself once she'd finished with the pipe.
Guess it was lucky that nanotech was no longer active by the time Kennedy opened that door.
Extremely lucky. They could have all been killed.
So, we've got tons of questions, which is good, shows that the episode has kept us engaged, but it still feels like we're progressing at a snail's pace. Kennedy found the pipe in 17, but we still haven't found it in 18 yet. In fact, Sims, Sandy, and Jules are now arrested, which is bound to slow things down even more, I fear. Knox's dad built a lift, but that feels more like a distraction to whatever else is going on, and we still don't know who stole from critical supplies.
True, but you have to admit that what's going on in the silos is so much more interesting than the before times.
It's always more interesting. Well, Stans did tell Daniel and Helen why they did all the subterfuge with the self-driving car. It was to get them scared about a potential doomsday scenario. That was probably the stupidest reason I could imagine. I guess only a trillionaire would think like that.
Yeah, and that those silos are survival bunkers was hardly a surprise, was it? We knew that already.
Well, unless we're being lied to somehow. Most of the story is about lies and hiding the truth, so I'm sure there will be more revelations, hopefully before this season's finale. I'd hate it if they left us hanging for a year with too many questions. There were many nice moments in this episode, like Kennedy telling Jimmy what they do in 18 to remember their dead. Or Charlotte remembering her mom by smelling rosemary. Or how Camille confides in Sims about checking if her son starts to forget, and Sims telling her he's 90% Jew, so he'll be okay. Oh, and Juliet noticing Shirley is pregnant, and then they start to chat, and how Knox cried as he took the birth control out. These were some strong character moments.
They were way more meaningful than the filler moments we got from the last 2 episodes, when Daniel and Helen were on their seemingly never-ending trip.
Speaking of, there are 2 things that are really frustrating about the before times. One is that they distract us from what's going on in the silo, because that always feels like the most interesting part of the story. But 2, it seems that there is so little story to tell that they are dragging it and dragging it and dragging it. And really, I keep thinking, enough already, just tell us the secret now. Over the last 3 episodes, we had a car ride, a plane ride, and now a lunch/dinner with barely any answers at all.
Maybe the second book, where all the before times is recounted, is more of a pamphlet than a book.
Well, that's pretty much all we have to say about this chapter of the story. Do let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll give you the response you deserve.
Spoiler alert! No.
Kennedy makes an opening and sees a body inside. Looks like Jimmy's mom.
Speaking of, there are 2 things that